Welcome back, everyone. Today, we continue our journey through the chilling world of Grey Dawn. This game keeps getting darker and more unsettling. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Before we begin, if you're enjoying this series, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment. Now brace yourselves, because things are about to get even more disturbing. Let's dive in. We begin in a dimly lit room, standing before a child lying in bed. We are performing an exorcism. The moment we complete our incantations, a dark force hurls us backward, knocking us to the ground. When we regain our senses, we see that the door is blocked by a large chest. Something or someone wants us trapped inside. But then, we notice a fireplace adorned with demonic horns. It has a combination lock and, of course, the most fitting number for such a cursed place, 666. The moment we unlock it, flames burst out, revealing a burning cross. Our priest, in a desperate attempt, grabs it with his bare hands. He screams in pain as the flame scorch his flesh, and just when we think it can't get any worse, a hand emerges from the chest. With trembling hands, we open the chest and find a heart-shaped music box. But the moment we pick it up, a sinister voice fills the room. A deranged lunatic like you should not be holding this gift. The priest immediately recognizes the voice. It's David, or rather the demonic version of him. Then everything shifts. We are no longer in the room. Instead, we find ourselves in a place that looks almost like heaven. We are standing before Rosendorf Cemetery, and judging by the tiny tombstones around us, this place belongs to children. Innocence, purity, but also sorrow. As we walk deeper, we find a grieving mother sobbing by a grave. A young boy stands next to her, watching silently. But suddenly, the child moves toward 3 more graves and asks us to place framed photographs of the children. The moment we do, the souls of the children ascend to the sky like angels. It's a beautiful yet deeply tragic moment. A reminder of the loss of something truly pure. As we leave the cemetery, David's voice echoes once more. This time, he tells us a story, one of a shepherd and a prince. The 2 warriors fought against a corrupt king at the city gates. But the cowardly ruler hid behind 2 archers, whose arrows were coated in poison. And when one of those arrows struck the young prince, he fell. This feels symbolic, but what does it mean? Before we can dwell on it, we find a small wooden hut. Inside, we discover a book, and between its pages, a syringe. The book describes a child gasping for air, struggling against the poison in his lungs. It claims his cries were louder than 1,000 church bells. Are we reading about the prince from the story, or something much, much worse? Leaving the hut, we reach a massive structure, a church. But not just any church. Inside, we find a laboratory. A book at the entrance contains chilling words. To enter, you must offer a demon as sacrifice to the architect of the world. When we ask David how this is possible, he responds, "It's time to meet my brother, Alexander." He directs us to a house on the hill. It turns out to be the same hut where we found the syringe. Using a small wooden hand-shaped object, we unlock the door. Inside, we find a bizarre puzzle involving a brain, a heart, and a pair of lungs. Solving it reveals a coffin. Inside the coffin, a dead child. The priest, overwhelmed, finally asks the question we've all been thinking. Why does God allow children to die? But David's voice interrupts. Stop wasting time. Keep going. Returning home, the radio turns on by itself. The voice taunts us, telling us that a surprise is waiting outside. We step out and see snow. But as we walk further, we realize it's not snow. It's volcanic ash. In the distance, a volcano erupts, covering the sky in darkness. Nearby, a burning car stands by the fountain. Inside, a child sits motionless. We extinguish the flames, but instead of finding the child, we find a letter. It's a message from something calling itself Moro. It says there are 7 of them. They represent desire, rage, and greed. They claim to be unbaptized children who want to go to hell. And they want to drag us with them. We suddenly see a strange rabbit-like creature. And then, standing near the gate, a group of people. Finally, normal human beings, but when we call out to them, they ignore us. They don't even seem to notice we exist. And that's when we start wondering, are we dead? We follow the rabbit to Alexander's cabin. There, we set up a trap to capture it, our offering for the church-laboratory. Inside, we uncover a massive hall filled with puzzles and an ancient tree. A book tells us that this tree, using a sacred crystal, can perform miracles. Solving the puzzles unlocks a glowing orb representing the world. David speaks once again. I see the desires of this world. And now it's your turn. His words once again make us question, are we even alive anymore? We take the sacred chalice and learn that to proceed, we must forge a key. And to do that, we must visit Elder Joseph. But that is where we will continue in the next episode. So if you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We are only scratching the surface of this nightmare. Until next time, stay safe.